Do you want to know how to build an LCD screen that takes Fatshark modules for under 40 bucks? Well, stay tuned and let's check it out. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be building a DIY Fatshark module LCD screen. So this is going to be pretty interesting, and it's going to be pretty cool and simple and absolutely cheap at the same time. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I've been looking around for screens, and I finally found one of the perfect screens, and it's one of the cheapest screens. It's around 20 bucks, found it off of Being Good. And what's so awesome about this thing, it also even comes with a 2 input, which is 2 AV inputs, and it comes with a little tripod as well as a tripod hole, so you can kind of do a whole ground station thing going on here. So that's a huge plus. Now, another thing that's going to be pretty cool about this is we're not just going to make it as a Fatshark module LCD, we're also going to be making it as a camera tester also, so it could work as a camera tester as well. So it's going to be pretty cool and pretty interesting. Now, the overall cost of this should be way below 40 bucks, maybe 45 max pushing it, but this alone is 20 bucks. This is like $1, $2, $3. It's way less than $40. So it's going to be pretty cool. So let's just talk about how it's going to be working here. It's going to take a 3S LiPo. Now, this is rated for 12 volts, but I was playing with it with my power supply. And it could take anywhere between 7 to 12 volt and still function correctly. So what we're going to do is basically we're just going to power it off a 3S LiPo directly from a 3S LiPo. So I'm really happy this came through in that perspective. So that's one thing. We're also going to need this little cheap 5 volt regulator here. This is going to be to regulate the voltage for our Fatshark modules that we're going to be using. And it's going to work for any kind of Fatshark module. Alright, another thing we're going to be using here is we're going to use some 4S JST type connectors, a male and a female. Or yeah, male and female. We're going to need these because these are going to come in handy because this whole system is going to be also modular, which means we're going to build another system for the LCD and just be able to replace it with just doing this, and it's going to keep it overall clean and very universal. All right, and we're also going to need an Xt60 connector. These are also like $1. You can make your own, or you can buy some pre-made. I usually tend to get pre-made ones. This one's used. I just salvaged it from another flight controller. So yeah, this is also basically nothing. This is a very important piece here. I forgot what they're called. But this is gonna be the thing that's gonna enable us to test our cameras. It's gonna be off to the side, and you just bring your camera, 5 volt video ground, and then you should get the video feed here. If not, then your camera's bad. So this is going to be pretty fun. You don't have to add this, but it's good to add this. And we're going to need some female pin headers. And again, this is all like under $1 or $2. So I'll go ahead and leave I'll leave a link to everything here down in the description below. We're also going to need a PCB. These are also, I like these the most because they have M2 sized holes on the corners. And that's why I took these M2 nylon standoffs here. And this way, so we don't have to 3D print anything, we're just going to make 2 little holes into the back of the thingy, put it through, and just tighten it with our little nuts here. And like I said, this is going to be a modular system. So once you unplug the 4S, so this would be like so. This will be coming out of the screen. Unplug it, remove the screws, take this off, and then bring the second system. The second system we're going to be working on, we're going to make another system later on for this LCD, and it's going to be pretty cool. I still haven't made up my mind what we're going to do. Maybe just a dedicated receiver, or possibly some kind of the drone finder. Just build some kind of a module to connect those two together. It'd be pretty cool and pretty interesting. So yeah, that's it for the parts, and I'll leave everything down on the links below. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so first thing we gotta do is we're going to get the screen here, and we are going to start taking it apart. And it comes out with a couple screws, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, so once all the screws are out here, then what we have to do is we're gonna have to crack this guy open. And he's kind of held with a couple clips on the bottom or top. So just be careful. Pull it from the bottom. Don't yank it one time super hard. Alright, so here we have nothing, so that's awesome. Now let's take a look at the board here and see what we can see. Okay. So there isn't really anything clearly labeled here, but I'm guessing the red is going to be the input, black is the ground next to it here, and this one maybe the yellow line is the AV input, and then another ground. So let's actually take a look at the other side. So it's held together with double-sided tape, and let's go ahead and spin this guy around here and see if we can see anything. Okay, well here's some writing, so that's awesome. Alright, so here we have 12 volt ground, AV1, ground, AV2, and back enable. So I think this is, because this is for the cameras, like a car reverse camera. So maybe if this goes to ground, it switches to AV2 or something. I don't know, but we're not going to need the green one here. We don't need that one. But what we're going to need is we're going to need 12 volt ground, AV1. Those are the most important to us. So let's take a look at this wire here. I'm going to just start organizing how we're going to do this. Alright, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to just go ahead and cut it right here. I think that's going to be awesome. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So I'm just cutting it right at the edge where it starts. And we're left with this black thing. That should come right off. Awesome. So now this is good. This is what we need here. Alright, so let's take a look at the internals. So we're going to add the voltage regulator on the inside. It's going to keep it very clean. And we're going to need this to pop out the back. So that we need to take that into consideration right now. And for the internals, I think that should be it. We're also going to need to, we're going to need to connect the Xt60 connector to apply power. So let's just see, what's the first step here? Alright. So let's flip this guy around. So we need the first two, which are these two. These two are going to be our power. Where are they? These two. So these two are power coming into this guy. So let's go ahead and actually begin stripping these guys apart. So, okay, awesome. So now we have power. These two are power here. So what needs to take power is obviously the Xt60 connector, because this is the power that's going to be coming in from the battery here. So let's go ahead and prepare the Xt60 connector here, okay? And the voltage regulator is going to be needing to take also from this. So as you can see here, it'll tell you in plus and in minus. So that's a positive and that's a negative. So this is where the direct voltage from the battery should also be coming. So let's go ahead and prepare these wires also. You want to strip them kind of long, because we're going to have them all be connected at the same time. All three of them, from the Xt60 to the power of these guys, they're all going to be connected together. So for example, we take the ground, all three grounds, we're going to connect them together right now. So let's actually, let's make this guy a tad bit bigger here. So right now we're taking the ground from the board, which is the second wire from the right going in, and we're taking the ground from the voltage regulator here, and we're just going to put them together. Okay, awesome. Now we need the ground from the Xt60 connector. And I highly recommend you use Xt60 connector with a thinner gauge here. Alright. So that's beautiful. Okay. So you want to be very careful, because this thing's going to be hot. So as you can see, we have both of our grounds together, and the thing is still absolutely hot. So if we quickly put this guy on, so we're going to put our heat shrink on. It's actually going to shrink a tiny bit, but we need a little bit bigger heat shrink here to get it on this guy. So just to make sure everything is perfectly close, because you don't want any shorts going through here, because that'll just ruin your day really. So about here should be fine. And this guy is going to be out of this whole thingy here. Okay. It's nice. Okay. Let's actually set it up like so. Alright, so that's perfect right there. So this is where I want my heat shrink to be. I should be able to close everything. You can also use just electrical tape and you should be totally fine. But I'm just going to use heat shrink. Just keeps it cleaner. Alright, so in theory, this here will pop out just fine. We have that little hole thingy, so that's good. And now let's do positive. So now we need the positive from the voltage regulator. We're going to make this guy pretty long. Strip him kind of long here to make our life easier. And this is the 12 volt that's from the board, the LCD board here. And I'll show you right now. So this is the first wire right here, which is the 12 volt. Now we're going to connect all of the positives together, and on the voltage regulator this would be the in. As you can see, the in positive now. So the in positive, we put these guys together, and the board's 12 volt positive. Spin them around, twist them, and then we get the Xt60 connector here, and we're going to do the same thing. However, this time I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm going to get one of these from right now, and we are just going to drop it on through. Alright, so let's go ahead and add solder to this guy. Alright, so that is nicely soldered on. So we're just going to push these guys like so. Grab our heat shrink and shrink it. Alright, so that's nice and tidy. Okay. Now if we go here, we can see that it's going to be just fine. Because here we have this gap right there. And if we needed to cut it and make it a little bit wider, we might have to. We can go ahead and do that. So as you can see, that's going to be beautiful right there. All right, so that's awesome. All right. So now what you want to do is you want to test this. So the way we test it is make sure nothing is touching. And make sure these two are not touching, that's for sure. And you're going to need to set this to 5 volts. Now you put your battery in. We're going to put a 3S LiPo. So a 3S LiPo. So here's a 3S LiPo. I think it's still functioning. Make sure this doesn't touch anything. And let's go ahead and take a look. And the screen is on, so that's awesome. So while this is in now, what you want to do is you want to grab a multimeter and start testing the voltage that's coming out of this guy right there. So as you can see here, we have connected the ins, and now we need to connect the outs. So everything is working beautiful. What you need to do is you get a multimeter and just start spinning this little potentiometer right there until you get 5 volts. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I think I already have this preset, so here we go. So here's positive, and let's bring this guy here, and here's negative. So I have them at 5.6 volts, so that's good enough for me. I'm going to keep it there. So, but if yours was not perfect, there's a little potentiometer right there, and that is what you have to adjust right and left. So just make sure nothing is plugged in while you do that on this side, on the outside, or else you might burn whatever it is, because you could possibly be getting 12 volts through, so that's very bad and you don't want that. So here we're pretty much ready. It's on 5 volts. Try to get it to 5 volts as close as you can, and you should be good to go. Don't go 5.6 and above, and don't go like 4.8 and below. So that's something very important to actually take note of here. Alright, so now, since we're pretty much ready and we know we're going good, let's just take a look at what we have done. Like a little recap here. Alright. Okay, so far what have we done? We took the input, the 12 volt input for the screen, and we routed it to the Xt60 connector here. So that's perfect. So now it's getting, because it runs 7 to 12 volts, even though it says 12 volts. So it's getting the, let's just say 12 volts from the Xt60 connector now, and it powers on, and you just saw, and everything's working beautiful. Now on the other side, we're also taking the direct power from the battery, which is, let's just say 12 volts. And we're passing it to this voltage regulator, which is going to change it to a 5 volt so we can power our Fatshark modules. So as you can see here, we've soldered the in positive and the in positive and the in ground right there. So as you can see that. And they're just soldered to this guy right here. The positive to positive, the ground to ground. Nothing too crazy. So now we're left with the out. So on the out, we have out ground and out positive. And where are these going to go? Well, let's go ahead here. We're going to put it on this guy. This is the 4S JST type connector. But before we do that, we need to actually get the cover here, and we're just going to route these guys through here. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to need these two, which is ground and positive. And we're going to go all the way up here. So it's already pre-drilled for us, so that's pretty awesome. So it's going to be nice. It's going to keep it nice and clean. And we're going to use yellow for the video here. And we're going to use white for... White is not going to be used for anything just yet, but we're going to keep it in there. Just, you never know what we're going to use it for next time. So just make sure. So this is basically going to pop out. I'm just going to just connect like so. Pretty nice. So, alright. So I like this. So this is good enough for me like this. So I'm just going to stick them in a little bit more and get the wiring here. So I'm going to keep them, I think, the exact length. I'm going to keep them this long, just so, you know, it can be a little bit flexible with us. So if we needed to extend the wire a little bit more or less, we can totally do that. So let's go ahead and grab the red wire from that JST connector, which is popping through there. So we're going to grab the red wire and we're going to put it to the output red wire of this guy. So let's go ahead and strip this guy a bit more. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and drop a heat shrink on this guy. And we're going to go ahead and get started here. It's a little bit difficult to twist the little ones together in a specific way where you get them straight so you don't increase tension but forget the straightness. There we go. Now make sure your battery is unplugged while you do this. That's something very, very important here. And let's go ahead and hit this guy. Alright, so now our positive is in. So we're going to trim some of this guy off. There we go. And there we go. So that's awesome. Perfect. So what we're going to do is just bend this guy any way we want. Let's bend him this way. We just bring our heat shrink and make sure he's not going to hit anything or short circuit anything for us. Alright, so the heat shrink we use is a bit too small here. So we're going to use a tiny bit bigger one. But we're not going to have it as a flush straight through. So it's just going to be like this. It's going to be good enough. Now we're going to get our our negatives. And then we're just going to connect our negatives the same kind of way here. So let's go ahead and strip this guy. That was too much. There we go. So that's good. It's very good now. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get the same sized heat shrink. It's a bigger one. Alright, now let's just solder them together and stick that heat shrink on. Awesome. Trim some off here. And we're good to go. So that is beautiful. Very beautiful. So we have positive, voltage regulator, and then the outs. This is going to be for video. And this will just be connected with the yellow line here. And from this perspective, we should be pretty much done now. Alright guys, so we've gone ahead and done the positives for the voltage regulator as well as the board itself here. So the 3S LiPo would give power to the board and the voltage regulator. And from the voltage regulator, it's going to give to the Fatshark module. Now we need to do the AV input, which is these two yellow wires. Let's connect them together now and get it out of the way. Alright, so that's in right now. And we're going to add a heat shrink and solder it up in a little bit. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to take AV input 2 And we're gonna do wow, it's crazy. Look at the colors. Everything is exactly the same. So we're gonna take this white one and we're just gonna put them together here. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and solder these guys now. All right. So just add a little solder here to both of them. Okay. And now this guy. And we're just gonna go ahead and trim some off because they don't need to be that long. So let's go ahead and trim some off of this guy. Make sure you don't have the trimmings be inside the screen, or that'll be a nightmare for you. So make sure when you cut them sort of away from that area. So we're just gonna bring our heat shrink now. There we go. Beautiful. This heat shrink. And beautiful. All right. So let's go ahead and shrink them. Awesome. All right. My heat gun this is the maximum it could reach because where I placed it. So yeah, that's why. You don't want to burn your fingers with this guy. And let's do these guys also since we didn't do them. And this guy. Alright, so did we miss any heat shrinks? All of them seem to be good. Awesome. Alright, so let's just recap again what we did here before moving on. So we got our 3S input from our 3S LiPo, that it's giving positive to the board, it's giving positive to the voltage regulator, as well as the ground working the same way, going to the board and going to the regulator. And then from the regulator, we gave the two from this wire here. We gave the positive and negative, these guys, from the voltage regulator. And AV1 is on the yellow wire, which was the yellow wire on the board, and AV2 was the white wire on this one, and it was the white wire on this guy. So your colors may vary on this port here, but it's the same concept. So the third one we could just say was AV1 to whatever colors you had. So yeah. Alright. So now here we're basically done. Maybe we add one fat heat shrink to this guy, to the voltage regulator. This is enough wiring. It's perfect. So let's cover our voltage regulator here. We don't want it to create any problems for us. So let's go ahead and just get one big heat shrink here and just cover it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up like so. Have all the wires come down one way right here. This heat shrink might be a bit too small. Let's get another one. See if this will fit. This one might be. This one's good. It's good size. So let's just cut it about here. A little bit longer than the voltage regulator itself. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and cover this guy because we don't want this touching anything and shorting out or anything of that nature. Alright. Beautiful. So let's apply some heat shrink. Let's apply some heat now to shrink this guy. Alright. Beautiful. Okay. So basically like this, we are completely done on the internals. And this wire, we're just going to keep it hanging. It was the back enabled cold on the board, so I don't think it's going to be touching anything anytime soon. So, yeah. just in case. We'll just stick this guy on just like that, or even better, we'll just bend him. And we'll just stick another heat shrink. That'll do this to it. There we go. Now we don't risk him, and we could use him. He's still usable for something else. So now we're going to go ahead and close this. So we should be 100% done on the inside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line these guys up together here. Pull these wires as much as I can. And go ahead and close it. Okay, so that's a bit too much here. Okay, that's good. Alright, so just make sure it's all nice and aligned here. And understand why it's not cracking into place. There we go. Beautiful. Awesome. So we're basically done from this side. Now later on we're going to have to reopen this because you see these here. Let's just zoom in here together. Alright. So these right here, we're going to have to create holes for the standoffs because everything else is going to be on here. And yeah, I think we could find 2 holes that are kind of go in here. Yeah, that's awesome. So all we need to do is just going to have to just cut 2 holes here and then screw these nylon standoffs on the other side. And this way this whole thing holds without the need of anything else. So that is awesome. So let's go ahead and move this. I'm just going to put my nuts back on because I don't want to lose my nuts. I'm pretty sure a lot of you don't want to lose your nuts either. Alright. Alright, so this is good. Alright, so we're done with the screen here, and that is awesome. Now let's go ahead and start with this guy. Alright, so let's see what we're going to do first. Let's kind of figure out the orientation here. So it's going to be in like so, and we need that female 4S. So let's just see, how do I want it? So I want it to come in like this with these guys out here. So I want it to be like that. Like this. So it would connect like so, and then that'll be just in like that. So that's beautiful. Alright, so let's just put this guy in then. So we want him all the way on this side. Let's solder him into place now. Okay, there we go. Alright. Beautiful. Nice and shiny. Is anything touching? Nope. Absolutely gorgeous. Alright, so that's perfect. So that would be coming in here like this. Once this is in place. Perfect. That is absolutely perfect right there. Alright. Alright, so the next step is going to be to get our female pin headers here and to figure out a nice place for them. So maybe, I think we're going to do it like this here. Something like this, and then we get the Fatshark module. Once we find it, there it is. Alright, and we could just stick it in like so. However, here I have 2 extra female pins right there. So we're going to have to remove those 2. So I have 2 extras here. So I want to cut, since I have these 2 right here extra, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in the middle of the second one. So this way it'll break it. Because these are pretty retarded. Alright, so let's just double check here. Is this perfect? Perfect. Yes. Everything we need. Awesome. Okay. So let's go ahead and stick this guy all the way here. Alright. Should we do it all the way this side? Let's see. I'm currently debating. Depending on the module, some might need to be flipped. But I think overall this should be good. Doesn't matter. Alright, so we're just going to solder it right there. I think right there is good. So counting 1, 2, 3. On the 4th one is where our first pin is going to go. So we're going to solder that right here. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay. I need something to kind of keep it leveled here. Or we can just solder one real quick, and then we can just level it with our hand. So let's just get one to hold real quick now. All right, that's good. Very good. So let's do the rest. I know it's probably difficult seeing on camera, but there we go. Make sure you guys can see. So right now I'm applying force with my middle finger off my left hand that's holding the solder. So beautiful. Oh, it doesn't matter. We could just go ahead and hit the rest here. Beautiful. Alright, so we just take a look at it here. Nice. So here we go. And the Fatshark is going to go, Fatshark module will just go in like so. Now you're going to be careful because, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to apply a little bit, we're going to add just another female spacers here, or female headers. Just to keep it without bending. See, now it doesn't even bend, so it holds very good in place. But you know, just be careful because I think it depends on your Fatshark module that you're going to be using. Some might pop out more than others, so yeah, just take that into consideration. Here's another one I got here. Let's see, yeah, that'll be in the way here. It'll make it fit not perfect. So yeah, just be careful on which one you're using, and do this if you want. You don't have to, but I'm going to add this right now. It just gives me peace of mind. So I'm just gonna add it exactly on the other opposite side of this guy. He seems pretty straight. Alright, so I'm just making sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin here. Alright, so this should be overall pretty good. So this side we're not going to wire anything to. It's just going to be this side here. So let's go ahead and take a look at our Fatshark module. In each of them you need to take note of how yours are working. And yeah, there's specific ways to figure it out. So we have VCC and then we have ground as the third. So if we stick it in like this, okay, we have VCC and then ground. VCC is going to go to the 5-volt positive. So the first one is going to go to 5-volt positive. Now if we bring this guy here, and we take a look, when we put this guy in, the 5-volt positive was the red wire. So we need to get from the pin that's all the way on the left to the first pin here, we need to bring some kind of a wire. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay. So taking a look at it, it should be this side since it was here to this one. So the first one to that first pin right there. So these should be connected. When we flip it, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be these two. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. Let's grab ourselves a wire and let's get started. Alright, I found myself a nice silicone wire here. So we are going to prepare it. By doing this and doing this. Alright, I'm going to trim some of this guy off real quick here. So it's nice and small. And then we're just going to solder it to this pin right there. Beautiful. That's in very good. Alright, so we're just going to route it to the first pin on this side because right now. Actually, this is completely wrong. So you see, so you need to take note of where everything is, because it can get kind of confusing, especially when you flip it around. So we needed this wire here. Alright, that's beautiful. So this one is just going to connect to the first one right there. We don't have to do much. All we have to do is 4 wires, really. So there is our positive. Or actually, yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and just cut this guy right here. Alright, so we're gonna do, before we connect this actually, right here, we're gonna do something else. We're gonna go ahead and bring this guy right here, and we're gonna stick him here on the left, like so. Doesn't matter where, just on the opposite side of this guy here, and make sure these terminals are sticking out the front here. So let's just go ahead and solder him in now real quick, because this is gonna be also, we're gonna have to route power to our camera tester. This is our camera tester right here. So let's just go ahead and do that. All right, nice. So this one, so in theory, whatever we decide to be positive will be connected this wire here, and then that wire would be there. So we'd make like a double route kind of. So let's go ahead and let's actually make this guy a little bit shorter here. It's a bit too long. Alright, nice. Let's add some solder to this wire. Okay. And we're going to connect it to our first one, which is for the Fatshark pins here. There we go. So now that's 5 volts going straight to our Fatshark. So that's perfect. Alright, so now what do we need? Let's go ahead and take a look here. Now we need ground. So the next pin next to this one is ground, so we need ground now. Now let's figure out where is ground on the Fatshark. And all of them are the same, but you just have to know which orientation your receiver goes, really. So let's take a look here. Which one's ground? Ground is the 3rd pin down for VCC. Alright, so 3rd pin down. So okay, so the first one VCC, and then this was something else. So this 3rd one right here. So we need to count 3 down, and we connect it there. So let's go ahead and get ourselves another wire. Alright, let's add some solder to this guy. Alright, let's just add a little bit more here. Okay, and we're going to trim him since he's a bit too long. We don't like long wires. So the 3rd one down, we said, was ground. So it's this one here. So as you can see here, skips 1 and we go 1 down, that's ground. So let's go ahead and heat these guys up. Alright, so that's the ground for our Fatshark. Now we need to take it to the 2nd pin up here next to the VCC. So that one right there. Just double check that'll make it. Yep, that should make it just fine. After we do this, we can go ahead and test it, see if it's working. So here it is. So we're going to go to the 2nd pin here. Beautiful. Did I move it? Nope. So let's take a look at this guy together now. So everything's good, nothing's touching. So this one was positive, which goes to the positive. This one's ground, which goes to the ground. And if we take a look at it like this, where is it? If we take a look at it like this, it's going to be the opposite actually, because we're going to be plugging it in like this into there. So that's, you can see that that's VCC right there, and then that's ground. So that's VCC and that's ground. And if we plug it in, that's perfect. So in theory, now if we plug a 3S LiPo into the screen and we plug this guy here, so let's go ahead and see if it'll boot. Alright, so okay, so as you can see here is 5V and ground, which are the two that we just soldered on. So let's go ahead and grab a 3S LiPo. Here's the 3S, I think. Yes. Beautiful. So this boots absolutely fine. And the screen boots absolutely fine. Now there's no signal because we didn't solder a signal just yet. So let's go ahead and remove this. And we'll start with the signal. We're going to keep the battery tester for last here, so it doesn't scare anyone or it doesn't mess us up. So let's go ahead and take a look now. We need video. So video is, let's get it to focus first. Okay, so we see first one is VCC, second one is something else, third one is ground, fourth is A, which is audio, fifth is A, which is audio, and the sixth, I believe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the sixth pin down is video. So we need to count the sixth one down. So if we take a look here, we have, okay, so that was positive, something else, ground, audio, audio, video. So this guy right there. So let's solder a wire to this guy right here. All right, so I don't know if this will be long enough here. Maybe. Because I'm taking them from, oh, this one should be possibly long enough. Hopefully this wire is long enough. It's silicone wires that I keep from ESCs that I use. So maybe I think this one's going to be long. So let's go ahead and test it out. So we're going to go down to the sixth one. Let's go ahead and add some solder to the wire here. Okay, add some solder to our soldering iron tip before it goes bad. Okay, so let's just take a look here. So this was after the second one down was audio. So it was audio, audio, video. It's this guy right there. Alright. So in theory, once we connect this wire, we should get video on our screen. At least static, since we have nothing turned on. So let's go ahead and connect this wire. Let's add some solder. Beautiful. Nice. So video should be third because I know AV in was the one right next to it, and then that's the other one's going to be AV2, which we're not going to be using right now. Alright, so that's in. There we go. So if we did everything right, we should get feed. So let's do this again. Here we go. Let's bring our Fatshark module. Not this one. This one. Okay. Nice. And let's plug in our battery here. Beautiful, it boots up. Alright, so let's take a look here. No signal. Maybe we're on AV1. Okay, here's AV1. There's still no signal. And what could be the reason? Alright guys, so I found the issue here. Now the issue is AV1 is connected with ground in some weird way inside. So I was using my oscilloscope to try and figure it out, and what we would have to do actually is connect it to AV2. Remember how we took the second AV2 to the white wire? So you want to take the video, instead of putting it to AV1, we actually put it on AV2. as you can see right there, I moved it. It was on the third one. I moved it to the last one there. That's the video. Now, if there's no signal coming in, you won't get any video at all. So you have to take that into consideration here. Alright, so let's go ahead and make the test now. So it's on AV2 now. We have this plugged in. And let's go ahead and connect a battery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it through the holes here. Through this one and this one. Just to kind of hold in place. Alright, so we got that in. And now we're going to put a battery. Okay, everything should boot up just fine. This is opposite, upside down for some reason. But alright, I'm on A2. And if we take a look on this side, we have no signal. Now, what's so cool about this, you could also flip the orientation. So let's go to AV1 here. So now we're on AV2. So now we're on AV2. And let's take a look back here. And here we are on band A2, which is correct. So let's go ahead and plug the quad. So it would say no signal until you get signal. So there we got signal. Now if we flip it over, in theory we should have video. And we do have video. And that's noise in the feed right now. However, that's easily fixable with a low ESR capacitor. So we're going to figure out where this noise is coming from. It should be easy to fix. Probably low ESR capacitor, or it's probably coming from the quad. So I'm going to try another quad in a bit. But right now, let's just continue the rest of the work. We'll know the noise if it's coming from anything once we do the camera testing side. And we can go ahead and test the camera with it. So let's go ahead and unplug this. So if I unplug it, as you can see, it goes back to no signal. So I just unplugged the quad. Everything is working beautiful. Remember AV2, not AV1, because that has some kind of weird routing inside I found. Alright, so right now everything is working beautiful.